Studios. Thank you again for being here. And today on the Civic Matters, we will be talking about tech in governance and how women should embrace AI and civic tech solutions. In this part of the world, when we talk about tech, we like to still file up things. We book up things. We still have all of these things in our shelves when we should be embracing technology. And with technology, your data is accurate. You are able to manage your data. You know that this is this. You know where to find what at every point in time. All you just need to do is label them. But when we're talking about the manual system of collecting data and whatever activities will be run in the governance process, it's a bit tacky because we're looking for this person's file. Okay, let's say, for instance, promotion. We are trying to promote somebody from this point to this point. We're looking for files. We're looking for every data about this person because it's not organized, unlike with tech and, AI and all of these things. But today, like I said, we'll be talking about tech in governance and how women should embrace AI and civic tech solutions in governance as well, right?
Yes, definitely.
All right. Now, let's just give a brief insight about our guest today. She is Nafisa Atiku Adejuwon, like I said, and she's dedicated to amplifying the voices of women within the realm of international development. Her unwavering focus spans critical arenas not limited to governance, education, sustainability, and climate change. Now, at the core of this brand is a passionate drive to bolster the leadership capacity of young women across the world, propelling them from vulnerable demographics to empowered trailblazers. How has this been for you? Robust profile.
It's been great. It's not without the struggles, but it's been great. So pardon my voice. I have a bit of a flu or a cold or whatever it is that we are trying to figure out. But yeah, I can assure you don't have COVID. So
okay, that's very important.
Yes, but yeah, it's been a great journey, and I'm still here. So obviously, it's been great. I'm looking forward to doing more work.
Yeah. So let's talk about tech in governance. What is tech in governance, and how do you define the role of women using tech in governance?
Wow. So, well, first of all, thank you for that question, Martha. And, really diving down to tech and governance, I think I might even come from my own perspective, my own
Please,
experience.
by all means.
Right. So, with tech and governance, I'm not new to tech. Organizations that I've worked in, I use tech. The organization I work in, DataFied, we use tech. We're literally like a tech organization, right? Focused on social impact. But moving ahead from that, I had learned from, an earlier age to embrace computers and embrace basic things like Microsoft before moving on to more technical things like Google and other technological tools. Right. And it's been a really good experience. It makes your life easier. Well, and of recent, we've been seeing a huge wave of artificial intelligence, which is AI. We have donors talking about AI. We have governments talking about AI. We have stakeholders, both public and private sector stakeholders, talking about artificial intelligence and how we need to embrace this as the next step in our evolution as a society. So we're literally heading to the next industrial revolution with AI at the forefront. And as it is with everything that happens, we need to make sure that the marginalized communities or people that social norms and biases affect, which are women, are not left behind in creating this new era that is to exist. Yeah. So a couple of days ago, I didn't even know this was even the title for this particular session. I wrote an article on LinkedIn on gender equality and AI, which really is the bulk of this session. And the data and the statistics are also concerning and worrying because we have right now, I think UNESCO has done quite a bit of work, and it's at about 29% or less than. We have 29% or less than female developers that are developing technological and AI solutions. So right there in the room of where we are developing or creating this new world of frontier technology, we have a very low representation of women in the room. So you do have cases where technologies that are being developed without having, considering gender norms or social norms or how, let me give you a very simplistic example. So there was a female journalist, right? And there was a tech tool that she was using, an AI tech tool that she was using to create stories. And then she said, give me a story of a nurse and maybe a lawyer or something, and tell the story for me, give it the point. And the AI tool stereotyped the woman to, the nurturing caring role, and gave maybe the lawyer or the whatever it is to the man. And she was like, no, give me this, and he kept on reinforcing that norm and that bias. So we can literally see
even tech.
Yes, even tech, because the people that are developing it already have ingrained biases. AI doesn't just exist on its own; it feeds off of what we continually put into it, right? So even drawing it down to the issue of women in governance, right? How do women embrace tools that were not made for them? And that is, the general story of even, coming to issues as little as seat belts, to medication, to everything. How do we embrace tools that aren't made for us? Yeah.
That's a very valid point. I didn't think about it from that perspective. Embracing things that were not made for you. There's always definitely going to be like a deficit, or like you'll not be able to properly function using those things, and that made a lot of sense. But yes, what are the important ways we can close the gap of women's participation in governance with these new technologies? Because, like you have said, when you walk into a room and maybe there's a Farouk in that room, and you say, guess who is the tech person here? They will automatically pick a Farouk for the person who would most likely be tech inclined and all of that. But this is a gap, like you said, we've seen it in different areas, in the political scene, in the medical scene, every single area we have these biases as well. So how do you think this gap can be closed, especially in governance?
So that's what we're dealing with. And that's the thing, both male, female, everybody needs to understand that gender inequality has the ability to evolve, as well as we're evolving with technology into any new systems that we might create. So there is a need for us to understand that we can't expect every technical expert to then obviously become a gender equality expert, right? But we also need to build up systems for inclusion in these new systems that we're creating. So whenever we're having, conversations about technology, about governance, about how we want to include women in these things, we need to have gender experts in the room. We need to have, set committees or frameworks or systems that say that, these systems and technologies need to pass the equality test. If they don't pass it, then we have to take it back. But we basically rise and fall by the power of our systems. So if we do not create a system whereby equality, gender equality should be the thing, then we're not going to have any equality whatsoever. And then when it comes to involving women in governance in what's it called, in technology framework, of course, including women is the first and foremost thing that we need to do. But on the other hand, it's, how do I put it? I'm not saying it's like a quota, but we need to make it very amplify it. Right. For example, female candidates that run for office, right? I know that platforms like WILAN, and that's Women Leadership and Advancement, and Elector, have started creating technological tools where women can actually, monitor or polling, basically monitor how they are perceived on the political field, etc. We need to somehow, how do I put it, fund these technologies, actively look for these kind of technologies and make them accessible to women candidates. Even in public service, I know the Honorable Minister for the Digital Economy is doing quite a lot of work when it comes to, yes, exactly, but how much of that is really reflected in the public service department and how they do their work, and how we are intentionally putting women at the forefront of receiving these technologies and upping their skills and exposing them to digital skills. Because really, it's not just about gender equality now, it's also about looking at the green economy and transitioning into an economy that is not based on oil. They need those skills. We need those skills. How are we making sure that women are in the room and receiving those digital skills, accessible, democratizing it, right? So those are a few of my thoughts.
Okay, very valid too. But you know how you talked about embracing tools that are not made for you. Do you think women play a role in this relegation as well? Because we are talking about creating the avenue for women. Women should be out there. But do you think women are willing to be out there? Because let me give you an example. We were in a setting where it's a comms setting where we have to like address an issue, So both male and female were given the opportunity to come up the stage and address that issue. But we saw more males taking the initiative of going out. Now, they're not even certain about what they're going to see there, because of course some of them came there and they flopped woefully. But we saw more of men willing to take on this responsibility, and the women are just somewhere like, no, I won't go out. And even when they go out, right, they go to the stage and they somehow make a caricature of the conversation because they're either laughing or giggling or doing something that is out of place there. Now, at the time when it was, you do this criticism, like literary criticisms and all of that, and then the moderator goes, we will not lash out on her so much because she's a woman. You know, and they gave it to the men. They gave it to them squarely. Like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing this? But when it got to the woman, they were like, you know, let's just be merciful, you know, to her. Let's not lash out on her because she's a woman.
Hero
and all
complex.
Of that. Yes. Do you see that we also play a part in this relegation that we experience as women?
Well, to be honest, I won't put it as black and white as that. Okay. What I would say, I think it's an issue of socialization and social norms. Okay. I like to tell people that they used to make fun of me that, you know, I will never get married because I'm too stubborn.
Oh, well.
And I'm married and I have a child too.
Okay. Yeah, did you show them hearing?
Of course. You know, and that was because whenever I was brought up in a household that was very political. Okay. And my uncle was in, you know, the people that brought me up were never like, you can't do this because you're a woman. It never happened. So, you know, I have I went to university, I studied law at University of Nigeria. So there's one picture like that is on my Facebook. And I had this Jerry coily hair, and then all the guys around me were drinking beer and we're really arguing politics. And then all my girls just went to the hostel. I sat down there and I said, no, this is going to happen. So do you understand? So I was very opinionated. Some people say that, okay, she's stubborn, but I interpreted it as strong-willed, right? And that was because of the way I was brought up. So to be honest, it's mostly an issue of socialization and social norms from my experience and my research. Because you see, women, I released the book called Girls Just Want to Run because I didn't understand why young women weren't involved in politics. And they come across and they're like, no, they don't want to do that because it's hard. They've been told that it's violent and it's not for women. So it's mostly an issue of how they were brought up, socialization, what society tells them and what tells them. Like, for instance, now I'm sure they're like, and the guys can't go. See, it has even happened to me. There are times when there are certain opportunities that I would want to put for, right? And then I'm telling myself, and I'm not thinking about, you're supposed to be the gender equality expert. You know that the statistics will say that most men will put in, not
and you know you can even do it better.
Do you understand? If given the opportunity, now most men will basically not even having up to half. You have 65% and you're doubting yourself. They'll put themselves for the opportunity. So why exactly are you not taking responsibility? So it can happen to anyone, really. So it's like I wouldn't like to put it because we can only interpret or reflect what has already been poured into us. So if you monitor their socialization and the gender norms that still happen, look at our National Assembly. You don't need to go too far, right? You can definitely see reflections of that in our society, which was why I said that, you know what, gender equality is it evolves because the people biases are they won't come out. You know, like all those things that let's have mercy on them and the women. Oh, the women are the weaker vessel. Kinika. Look, women and men are made differently. No one is weaker of the two. Different purposes, different uses. So we all need to understand that. So all these norms and biases then find a way to manifest themselves in different frameworks. And for me, that's it.
Well, I know a couple of people might not like this, but I mean, I think I'm liking the way the conversation is headed because this is something that has been on for too long. You know, we have kept quiet about things like this for so long. So, and we see women, you know, even when we know that they're capable of filling this vacuum and, you know, fixing the economy, fixing the system. If you can trust them with that in the home, I mean, why can't you trust them at a larger scene and with larger opportunities? So, yes. And now, how do you think we can close this digital gap after increasing women's participation using civic tech?
Okay, so how are we going to increase the number of women in governance?
The gender digital gap, how does it affect? Yes.
Well, to me, I think first of all, it's an issue of access.
Okay.
I mean, first of all, we have an education problem in this country, and oh my God. How education and access are inexplicably linked, right? They are basically, you can't solve one problem without solving the other, but one of the issues is access. We've seen girls that don't exactly go to the four walls of schools, but have access to technological tools that are able to code the nonsense and do literally everything that they need to do. Right? So there really needs to be a conversation on how we are providing these tools to these young people, because I always approach it the same way I approach political conversations. Right? You see male politicians, they enter a leadership pipeline. They don't just, appear on the political scene.
Yes,
if you notice, they go through SUG, they are SUG leaders. Before they come out, they're SSA to governor, and then next thing they're contesting for state house of assembly house. That's that line of leadership. that's the same thing with technology as well, right? Because there has been, the norms or biases that when it comes to issues of science and innovation, you basically put the guys inside that pipeline because they are the ones that should. I don't even know what informs all these kind of things. So you now see the women now going into things like, I'm not saying nursing is bad, please, or everything is good, right? Nursing, education,
more feminine.
More feminine.
So much so that when we see a male nurse, we're like, why are you a nurse? Like, why are you supposed to be a nurse?
Thank you. Even these days, see cooking. The other day I was watching Food Network. All the male all the people, all the chefs were men. I said, "People, welcome, welcome." These people have entered.
You are now embracing, so we can cross to.
Also, we can cross to the other side, right? So that pipeline of innovation and science and technology, you see a lot of young girls being cropped out of that by norms and biases that exist in society. So there even needs to be an intentional effort, even going on to secondary schools and universities, to say that in this pipeline for science, we need to actively recruit more young women, because by the time we're doing it, we're basically seeing an increase in number of young women and etc that are in technological fields. And you see, once you start to see an increase in the level of female participation in one area, it will slowly start to reflect in other sectors. For women politicians, I would just say it's mainly a problem of access, being ready and open to learn, and knowing how those tools can help them win their elections. And I think there is another aspect of it which also comes from funders etc. A lot of funders come and say, you know what, you want to build your capacity. They won't give you money to run, but they will tell you want to build your capacity in PR, in community mobilizing, or like I know Yaga supports women politicians. They will say that, you know what, we'll fund your town hall, just come there. But how about actually providing a component of the training that is really focused on innovation and technology? Right now, I'm a fellow for the I Am Nella Fellowship. It's an African, fellowship for young political women across the continent. And then we have different segments. So we have one focused on well-being. We have one focused on politics and leadership. And then we have one strictly focused on innovation and technology.
Okay.
So they are actively saying that, you know what, we are also going to build your capacity in how to use technological tools to provoke public policy, good governance, and winning your elections. Those are like intentional steps, because it's not just going to happen. It's not by us saying, oh, women need to embrace technology. It's not just going to happen.
You have to actively.
Yeah, you have to actively, bring it.
Right, guys, you can already tell that I've got me a smart lady in the studio, and that's everything you need for an amazing conversation. I'll be opening up the phone lines right about now on 09073530044 or 09087668888. And of course, you can leave us a message on WhatsApp letting us know what your thoughts are on 09097054450. Now, as women also, we need to be better. We need to take the initiative. Like she said, the men that you see in all of these political positions, whether you think that they deserve it or not, have paid their dues. They have been actively involved in politics, in their local community. They've done something in school, SUG, like you said. And some people, when these people take this thing seriously in school, other people are like, is it not just SUD chairman, SUG?
Exactly.
Why, what's the fuss about
These
it?
days, they are shooting bullets on top of SUG
Yes,
elections.
it's like a normal, like you say, social norms. And there's something that has been done to our psyche. And now we think that everything has to be violent because we see it on the larger scenes, so we now adopt it as what should be in the every other scene. So SUG in school, people are killed in school for positions like this. I remember one time in school when they were going to do all of this, because I personally am guilty of part of people who run away from things like that. I'm like, see, certain things are not, because when you are being called stubborn or very opinionated, you'd try to now relegate yourself somehow. There's something that it does to you, consciously or
makes you
subconsciously.
timid.
Yes, it makes you timid. And then they say, let's just go. You just go and be the treasurer and all of that. And that decision was made about 3 days to the election. And then surprisingly, I won the election. I'm like, how? So did I actually have the ability to do that and was just hiding behind the curtains? So yes, first of all, it starts with you as the woman. If you want to be on the bigger scenes, there are things that you need to do. Find out these things, find out the things that are instrumental to your growth and where you hope to see yourself in a couple of years from now. So when you do that, then you start looking for how to affiliate yourself with organizations, like you said, and institutions that can support that dream that you have. Remember, no man is an island. So it takes a couple of efforts to put someone together. So it's your responsibility as much as it is the responsibility of the government or the society or whatever body to encourage you to be quite participatory in things like this. And I hope that we're picking these things as much as possible. Now, let's ask another question. What are the challenges and opportunities for women in governance? Because I know we've highlighted a couple of challenges, but let's look at the opportunities.
Challenges. So we're talking about opportunities now.
Yes,
right?
Opportunities.
Okay. For
Women in
tech,
governance,
yeah, women
tech governance. Let's just do all of that together.
Well, so the opportunities I feel are amazing, right? You have the opportunity to use tech to provide, better services to your constituencies. See, in Nigeria, we generally have a data problem. We have a integrity of data problem. We have a data access problem. So those are things that we need to, in fact, because you just see them bringing out data. If I let me even go to let me even go to the basics of the basics. Twitter, we will have someone say that they will not bring out receipts from a restaurant and say that somebody in Lagos blew $21 million on drinks, and everybody's saying that now fam VFD microfinance bank cannot even take that amount of $21 million, and we're looking for dollars in this country, right? So it tells you that integrity, those things are small pieces of data, but it's a very relatable example to show you in terms of integrity of data and access to the really credible data, how not easy it is. So because of that, the interventions or policy initiatives that most of our politicians put out are not exactly run on data. And if they are not run on data, how are they going to be effective in real life? How are they going to solve the real problems when you don't even understand the real problem? Data helps you to understand those invisible problems that are not really showing on the surface. We can say, people don't go to school, children don't go to school because there's pure poverty and insecurity and this thing. But have you really gone down to really see what the problem is? Do you understand? That's what data will do to you. That's what research will do for you. So in terms of opportunities, right, you help any woman who takes data seriously as part of her policy interventions to her constituency, to her state, or whatever it is, has the opportunity to bring better public services or public goods to whichever constituency she's working with. They're going to see a difference, and it will become more developed. When she's coming to the conversation and she's like, you know what, I did
she has
information. Everyone else can bring their prayers, but bring data. Data is supreme. Yes, data is supreme because it tells you where the real problem is, and by the time you solve the real problem, nobody being left in doubt as to your capacity, as to what you're doing. Now they did what's it called, ministerial come and tell us what you've done. Everybody was just speaking English.
I was personally disappointed.
Everybody was just speaking English. There's no data, there's nothing, there are no numbers, so we can't feel the difference.
But they can't all speak English.
Well, not all of them, just like a couple of them. A couple. But I was disappointed. But yes, it even helps you. So when you are trying to come and defend what it is you are done, you put the numbers. You say, you know what, 500 women, 700 people, this 100, like that is even makes you more evolved as a human being. You get to see if you want to go selfish a bit, but it establishes you as an authority on certain things on the global stage.
What you're doing.
Do you understand? Why do you think Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, do you think she just got there by speaking English?
If you see her speeches, listen to her speeches, she has information, she has data.
Obieze Ekwesili, who does SPPG, you can see she says bring data. She did the Big Ideas platform on Saturday, and AI, innovation and technology, young people were the focus on why they were holding that platform.
Anyways, these are some of the opportunities. There are lots and lots of opportunities. We just need to open our eyes to see these things and, be willing to embrace these opportunities that we see on the larger scale. Because again, data is super important, and not just in governance. As a person, try to bring data into your work as a person. If as a journalist, I'm telling you that we have children out of school all around the street, that's an information I've given to you. But if I tell you exactly 10,000 students are out of school, how did I get the data from UNICEF or UNESCO or any of the bodies responsible for this? Then it gives credence to my report. And that's the same thing with you in banking. That's the same thing with you in several other fields. If you have the data, it gives some level of authenticity to your report. And I mean, that's basically it. So yes, we're hoping that more women are out there and more women participate in these things as much as possible. If you are wondering, I have been hanging out with with Nafisa Atiku Adejuan, and she is a dedicated, you can already tell that from her voice, that she is dedicated to amplifying the voices of women within the realm of international development. Now, her unwavering focus spans critical areas not limited to governance, to education, sustainability, and climate change. These are all the areas that she functions in. Now, at the core of the brand is a passionate drive to bolster the leadership capacity of young women across the world, propelling them from vulnerable demographics to empowered trailblazers. And you guys can be rest assured that I'll find a way to drag her back here. Farouk knows as much as I do that I'd find a way to drag her back here. So yes, I hope that we have been paying as much attention. Now, sadly, we'll be coming to the end of this segment because I mean our time is fast spent. But you can follow at ProMad NG on X, ProMad Foundation on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Now you can also follow at the Civic Matters on X and the Civic Matters on Facebook. To rewatch these episodes, you can go to Spotify at the Civic Matters on Spotify and catch up on these episodes. Okay, for a bonus, you can go to Eagles FM, our YouTube page, and across all our social media platforms, on Instagram, on Twitter, which is now X, on YouTube as well. It's at Eagles FM Abuja. So yes, go on the app and then probably look for the Civic Matters, and you get to catch up with all of the conversations that we have had here today. Now, do we have any winners from last week's? Anyways, you guys have not been participating in the quiz, and I'm assuming that we have all made it. We're rich. We don't like freebies, so I might just reclaim that prize from Farouk before he leaves the studio today. But for today's quiz, you can mention any civic tech solution you know, including the product of ProMad. Okay, and then what is the importance of new technologies in accelerating women's participation in governance? That's why you need to rewatch the episode so that you can get the information. Now, answer these questions using hashtag Civic Matters, hashtag ProMad, and the Civic Matters on Facebook, on X, formerly Twitter. Winners will be selected and announced next week on the show here, and on Monday on Civic Matters page on X and all other social media platforms. Thank you so much for joining us here.
Oh yes, one more thing.
Okay.
Speaking about data access, I'm sorry, they will not forgive me if
fine.
I do. Go to datafight.com,
Okay.
and we provide literally all the data that you need. Credible data. Subscribe to our newsletters, and yeah, that's basically
Datafight.
it. Yeah. Please.
All right, guys,
Thank
you already had that. Thank you so much. I'll see you pretty much later, where we're talking about the city of Abuja, and then no gray areas afterwards. Keep it locked in.